Nils Davis Hood Report.
Cause you are a loner, marijuana, endorphins make you stronger. I'm in the house party, tripping off my generation, sipping cough syrup, blankets, water, never no pancakes in the kitchen, man.
Welcome to Nils Davis Hood Report. State your name.
Kendrick Lamar.
Your crew?
Top Dog Entertainment, Black Hippie.
Your hood?
Compton, California, Westside Compton.
Album just dropped. Praise is heavy, like everybody praising the album for especially the lyrics and the overall concept. But what came to my mind was all of that whole conceptual thing intentional, or was it like some things just came together the way they came?
Yeah, it was intentional for sure, because it was a part of the game, you know, that you want to hear albums like that in a long time. So I knew for a fact if I did it, you know, people would be real receptive to it.
It was so funny because I was just talking to one of my boys like a month ago, and I was like, man, you remember albums like, I don't know, Midnight Marauders with all those crazy skits and stuff like that? And I was like, man, they don't do albums like this no more. Like, skits just died. The impression I got is it's like I don't took it like a rapper's album, but more as of a music enthusiast album. Like you're a true disciple of that shit.
Yeah, definitely, man. Because I come from that degree where, you know, who's buying albums that had that feel to it. You know, my pops was playing The Chronic, he's playing Doggy Style, DMX, Dark as Hell is Hot. You know, Jay-Z's Renewed Out, not all that stuff, man. And, that's the fan of the music we was lovers of, man. So came a time where I get my first debut, I didn't want to execute it no other way than I did.
Sorry mama, I can't turn the other cheek. They wanna knock me off the edge like I'm fucking Widow's Peak, And she always told me pray for the weak, Them demons got me, I ain't prayed in some weeks, Dear Lord, come save me, the devil's working on. He probably clocking double shifts on all of his jobs.
The album starts with a creed, where you confess to God. From listening to Good Kid, M.A.A.d City and also Section 80, I was like, I couldn't really figure out what higher power Kendrick Lamar believes in. Like, on the one hand, you got a lot of God talking, but you're talking a lot of politics too. Like, what's the high power that you believe in?
Our power is one God. That's it. That's all, you know. No religion, just one God. I think religion was designed, you know, to separate a community of people, you know, from other people. But, you know, one God.
Like, when I first heard the album, I was like, all right. It's like it went over my head. I gotta be honest. I was like, man, I expected more. But at the same time, I felt like, I want to bump it again. Like, I gotta give it another spin. You had so much to say that it popped up again, like so many different characters to the whole shit. Were you afraid when you finish it, like people wouldn't get it, like on some Van Gogh shit?
In the beginning, like the early stages, but I said, man, I can't come out the gate doing the same thing that everybody else is doing, man. Just putting a whole bunch of songs together, you know, and calling it the album, or putting a whole bunch of singles together. So I said, I ain't gonna do no album if I can't do it my way. So they either go love it or leave it alone.
Label executives, how did they react?
They was with it, just off the simple fact that, you know, I came in the game with the Section 80. I came to a major label with Section 80. That sold 85,000 copies alone by itself. So that proves, you know, to the politics of the game that people actually love concept records, you know. So they really didn't have too much say-so, but to continue to do what I've been doing.
So you got a lot to say. I mean, you're 25, right? You got a lot to say, like a lot of different perspectives and stuff like that. And you got like heavy criticism when you drop that electional comment. People are tend to be so hypercritical on celebrities. They always think like they're superhuman. Like, did you expect that shit to have a reaction like that?
Yeah, I mean, after it did, yeah. I mean, from the jump, but I take that back now. Not the way big as it, you know, is now, but you gotta understand, you know, that's coming from a standpoint where a person, you know, sit back and watch everybody point the finger at Obama You know what I'm saying? When something goes wrong, rather than, you know, trying to start in their own community and do for themselves, rather than reaching up to the, you know, politics of the world, to actually, you know, do for them first, do for yourself first. And that's the real reason why I said, you know, I wouldn't, you know, fall in that trap, you know, of voting for that reason, that particular reason, because at the end of the day, we all don't have no power of nothing too much. You know, we just gotta, you know, roll with the punches and really understand, you know, it starts with ourselves first.
Did it change the way you carry yourself from, I don't know, as an artist? As
an artist, well, that, nah. I'm always gonna be vocal about, you know, what I feel and what I want to say, you know, because you gotta be aware, you know, of things that, you know, people are listening, but at the same time, you know, you're a human being too. You gotta express that. You know, if we all sitting back in the shell, then everything will be going crazy with the world, and you ain't gonna talk about it. You know, that's just like NWA. We wouldn't have an NWA if they were scared to talk about Compton. You wouldn't have gangster rap. You wouldn't have 50 Cent. You wouldn't have Game. You wouldn't have M.A.A.d. You wouldn't have none of these cats, you know, if they were scared.
I think what people are fascinated about is not only the music, but that you can see like the whole persona of you, like the diversity of you through your music, which is, I mean, like on the one hand you got this poster smiling kind of guy, and then you got this rebellious type of cat. Like, what would it have taken for that good kid to turn into an angel on Angel List?
Man, what would it have taken? Probably another hit of that age stuff. Probably never exploring, you know, music. You know, that's one thing that really drew me in to do something positive. The fact that I found a passion for that. If I didn't have a passion for that, I don't know where I'd be, truthfully.
How did you like your relatives react when they first heard like Kendrick rapping?
Man, like the first early stages, they thought it was cool because I come from, you know, a family history, you know, just creative people, creative minds. You know, we always flirted with the idea of just, you know, freestyling and stuff like that. And the act of me actually taking it seriously, and they seen the steps progression. They was like, okay, hold up, he might be the one to actually, you know, really do it in the family. And true enough, you know, came that time where, you know, that was my calling.
Everybody heard that I fuck with Dre, and they wanna tell me I made it. Nigga, I ain't made shit. If he gave me a handout, I'ma take his risk and break.
Spiteful chant, you said some like people approached me like you hooked up with Dre, you made it, motherfucker, I ain't made shit, blah blah, but you kind of made it.
Yeah, that was coming from a standpoint where people say what people forget, you know, how much dedication you put before you even get the attention of Dre. I had to get the attention somewhere, you know. I put out 3 projects, you know. We were selling out shows before we met Dre and things like that. And people totally forget about that, you know. They figure that you get this hype because somebody stamps you. Like, no, it comes from a place of grind and dedication. You know, you have to have some type of dues paid in order to even get to that point where somebody of that magnitude is paying attention to you. You know, and that was the whole catch of that line.
Was it ever like you've been intimidated when you first stepped in the booth for Dre? Because I mean, we the generation that grew up on him. What kind of feeling was it?
Man, I thought I'd be nervous, but I was more excited than anything because I knew this was like my only shot. I treated it like my last shot at, you know, actually prove myself. All them times and years of being in the studio, it came down to that moment. You know, all them times of being frustrated and critiquing myself and doing songs over and recording songs. It didn't mean nothing till that moment, you know, so I had to execute that, and I did. The first song we recorded as soon as I walked in the studio was the last song of my album, Compton, you know. That's the first one ever. First time I said, what's up to Dre? Hey, what's up? Like your music. You're great. Can you write to this? And that was the beat.
Another Compton legend you had on this is the man that put together this one. Right. Just let me know, what does it mean to you or to Compton?
Man, it means a whole lot. It shows, you know, a kid coming from the city getting universal and national attention and not forgetting, you know, where he come from and still paying homage to those that paved the way for him. you know, the same way, you know, they did for me. That's what it means, you know. And with that being said, the next cat that come under me, you know, 10 years, 15 years down the line, they'll be able to know, you know, the cycle continues, you know, to draw back and always remember your roots, you know.
That one's called Music to Drive By. To me, your music is like music about drive-by. Was there like any reaction you got from actual gang members, like, man, you should just open my eyes or something like that? Like, did you get any reaction of Bloods and Crips?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of my homeboys from the other side, you know, really took a spin and, you know, made them feel like, damn, there's something bigger. You know, you open my eyes to something, a true conclusion of what, you know, I could be doing in my life. You know, knowing that, you know, I come from this negative space, I still too can make it spin around and do something else.
That's my surroundings in Compton have common sense. Smell death in the air around here, that's a common scent. You know the gunpowder, you know when your homie barely blink, he's just done powder. Only at 17, you know the common statistic, inspired by hoop dreams, now hired by street schemes of getting blood money. I try my best to stay focused and hope the city love me. Pray it's not lust, cause if it is, I'll be dead in a month.
If this happened to be your last album, we don't hope, but if that happened, what you think gonna be the legacy of it?
Man, the legacy of it would be telling a story from a different angle, being a person, you know, that dared, you know, to tell a story, not from a glorification of the streets, but more so the reasoning for the streets. I think, you know, that's what drew Dre, you know, attention, because gangster rap was selling records, but all the time, now that I know Dre personally, you know, he grew up as a good kid in the m.A.A.d city too. He shared the same story, but he wasn't allowed to really tell that story because, you know, the powers that be around him. And the legacy will be, me being the first cat from the city, from the neighborhood, from the streets of Compton, to tell that story from that side.
I mean, you came up when everybody was like putting like a tombstone on the West Coast. Like they were like, yeah, you got game, but he ain't selling no records no more.
Yeah, that's exactly what they were saying.
What you think is like the one thing that is gonna give you longevity?
Honesty. Honesty give me longevity. Work ethic to give me longevity. Being original give me longevity. And I have to look at people like Jay-Z and Nas and E40 and Snoop, you know, for that type of inspiration. I talk to them all the time about, you know, how you maintain this game, and that's the things they tell me.
You mentioned him like not only 40, but his real name, Earl Stevens and stuff like that. Like, what's your favorite E40 record?
Charlie Hustle. That's the song I shout out. Big Body with my home. Let's hit the liquor store. Let's hit the LIQ. Let's hit the house party. All that shit was on there. That was I think that was the second album I bought with my own money. Yep, I was probably around 13, 14. I bought DMX album first, then the album came second. Yep.
So, I mean, you're in Germany now. You've been to Paris yesterday. You're gonna be in London tomorrow. I mean, you're a kid from Compton. You're not supposed to travel the world. You're not even supposed to see New York. So,
that's the same type of way I put it. You know, being from Compton, we look at New York, it's like, so far. I remember like watching Jay-Z and looking at Stoops and the Stoops they be sitting on in the building, like, man, that shit is eons away from there. And I was just telling the other cat, like, man, to be over here is like that times 10. So we think that's far. We wouldn't even fathoming being in Europe, you know.
If you could go back like 5 years to K-Dot back then, what advice would you give him?
You gotta have patience, fool. I tell him that you ain't going nowhere without no patience, you know. You really trying to get it, you know, you really got to grind to get it. Because, you know, as a kid, you just think it's supposed to come right overnight, especially when you feel you talented or you feel you got it. But, you know, it took time. I wasn't ready back then, you know. I want to be able to have to talk about what I talk about now. If I came out back then, I'd just be another rapper under the rug, you know, speaking about the same thing everybody else talking about. So it was all about timing, man. I'm glad, you know, I waited out and I grinded it out, you know, up to this very moment where I'm 25, you know, where, you know, I know what I want to talk about. I know what I come to accomplish. And
I know a lot of people that smiled in my face, but talk behind my back.